essential that as we go through the process of stopping the slide in our state, which has created significant problems with poverty, unemployment. I was in Youngstown last week, hopelessness. My goal with the budget is that nobody gets a pass. We've asked everybody to come into the process and participate, those special interest groups that have had sway in our state. This is not the first time I've written a budget. I've written 13 of them. In 1997, I was the chief architect and the negotiator with the Clinton administration to give us a budget that led to one of the most prosperous times in our history. Restructuring is the issue. Delivering a better product at a lower price to serve the customer. That's why we look at things in this budget ultimately like sentencing reform. It's why we think about the fact that if mama can stay at home and not have to be put in a nursing home where she's more comfortable at a lower cost, I don't care what the special interests say. Because if we let special interests dominate the process, then it always comes out of the most vulnerable. My inauguration speech, I said I'm a servant of the public, but I'm a servant of the Lord. And as a servant of the Lord, of course, you've got to be fair, fair-minded, bring people together. You see, folks, I don't believe that we can tax our way to prosperity, but Roland, over time, we can't cut our way either. All we can do is to set the table for entrepreneurship and economic growth that can create jobs and a rising tide that can lift all boats in our great state. And I intend to do that. I'm not worried about re-election, folks. I don't care about the politics. I'm here to make a difference so that the legacy of our great state can be preserved, and I don't want anyone to be left behind. But let me also tell you that I've been astounded by the partisanship that I have seen since I've been governor for 30 days. Not just among African Americans and the whites, but between Democrats and Republicans. If you don't wear my uniform, there must be something wrong and I have an obligation to fight against you. That kind of partisanship poisons the well that we all must drink from. And I would ask my colleagues, my Republican colleagues, as well as my Democratic colleagues, to realize that we're all in this for public service to ultimately serve the people of this state. And if we can keep that in mind, we can reach agreements just like I did in 1997, and just like I was involved earlier on welfare reform, that I've had people telling me, thank you for breaking generational dependence. But let me just suggest one other thing to all of you here. Going to Youngstown and understanding the violence and sitting with a mom and with the brothers and the dad and riding with a young man who's trying to do a better job, make himself better at Youngstown State, and having him tell me he's seen 5 or 6 of his friends die from gun violence. We need to take our communities back one block at a time. We need, as a group, to think about what is it that could connect us in such a way that we can make progress. We're going to have our philosophical differences. That's okay. We can spend our time thinking about dwelling on our differences, but then we ought to express our differences, and that's good and that's healthy for our culture if done in a way that respects another human being. But at the same time, we must find programs that can help us to take our communities back one block at a time. I met with some members of the Black Caucus yesterday in my office. I want to think about unique programs where we can drive change from the bottom up, not from the top down, not from bureaucrats and politicians, but from the bottom up. And we can get about doing it. And I love the fact that we have a lady here today who's been engaged in mentoring programs. Giving poor kids a chance to see what success is all about is a way to heal the heart and a way to create determination. My job here as governor is to be the governor of the entire state. Let us figure out the ways in which we can work together. As you all know, just about a week ago, I asked the parole board to take a look at a felony sentence for a woman who was doing nothing more than protecting her children and keeping her from being a latchkey kids and having them in a setting where they would be safer and more comfortable. We'll see what the parole board ultimately recommends, but a felony for a woman who was trying to protect her kids just doesn't seem right to me. There are a lot of things that we can do to come together. So on one hand, we can have our differences based on philosophy and what we think is the best thing, but I promise you that if we dig down deep, we think about being in the other person's shoes, we can make some progress for our families and for our children. I want to do it together. The door is open. We'll have our struggles, but at the end of the day, if we keep the children who sang that beautiful anthem in mind, we'll succeed. Thank you all, and God bless you.